Jimmy's Jam Box. Keep jamming. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jam Box. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And before we get on into it, I am super excited to announce that the show officially has its very first sponsor. That's right. Shout out to the Brothers Apothecary. Super excited to be working with them. And today, we're going to be drinking the Oolong Passion Blend. Here's a quick little bit about it. The Oolong Passion Tea. A uniquely fruity blend of oolong, passion fruit, blood orange, lemongrass, and coconut. Delicately sweet and refreshing with a creative quality to it. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. All right, thanks for watching that, y'all. Now let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
What's up, you guys? It's Rainezra. Happy holidays.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you're from, what you do, give us that like Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
Man, it's going to be a little bit of a book, but we're going to summarize it the best that we can right now.
Let's do it.
So I started doing music because my mom and dad, my mom did music like violin and singing and playing guitar when she was younger, and my dad did beatboxing and freestyle rapping growing up. So I was just involved with a lot of music, and they always had house parties, and then I would go to musical events, started playing with like the bands that would be at the events, and then I moved up to Portland when I was about 16 years old, and then got involved with the Portland Teen Idol project down here. When they fizzled out, I started getting into doing like event production, throwing open mics, produced and released my first project through the PCC Sonic Arts program, got involved with most of the music scene here through Late Lyrics, most of the hip hop scene here, and then kind of started branching out into a bunch of different music scenes and genres all around the city. Eventually started created a nonprofit for creating professionally live recorded performances for musicians when the pandemic started, so that they could still get paid for good shows, and then branched off into my own booking LLC, and then just co-founded another LLC for producing music festivals. Oh, exciting. So that's about where we're at. Yeah.
So you do a couple things is what you're saying.
There's that. That's yes.
I love that. Well, we'll dive into you as the current artist and, I guess, doer of many things musically in just a moment, but we're going to start at the beginning. Let's talk about how you got into music and who were some of your like early influences, as well as like what was your first moments with music?
Yeah, my first, I actually have a video recording of me when I was 3. It's screenshotted up at the Ethos Music Center where I teach right now, if you ever want to see that. But
perfect.
I had like my mom's guitar, and I was just like consistently, before I could speak, making music, just like singing with the guitar. And so like I have videos of that when I was younger. And from that point on, my mom was one of those VHS like people who would like fall everywhere, and my grandma too. And so like
before cell phones were around. Yeah.
And so I was like continuously getting recorded and like trying to be as like much of an entertainer as possible in front of the camera. I have like, videos from when I was like about 1 year old up until 4 when the VHS was around in our life. And that was just like the progression of me consistently like making up songs and singing. I was singing a lot of like Britney Spears, Evanescence, like Green Day, like it was all over the place. My parents did not ever have one genre of music that they listened to.
I mean,
and
I think
like,
that's a good thing.
Yeah. And then like my dad was also like into like world history studies, and like had like he spoke a bunch of different languages. We had friends who spoke a bunch of different languages. We used to go to this place called Shaba Yelda where you like party till the sun comes up during summer or winter solstice or something. And it was just like sitars and like a bunch of different, but they had every genre of like music there too.
Yeah.
And my dad would listen to like Turkish music and like Japanese music and Indian music. And then my mom was just like also a genre bender. So I had way too many musical influences and like made every different type of song when I first started doing music. And I think what like really inspired my like singing kickoff was actually my choir teacher in 6th grade, Miss Urquhart. She like inspired me to like follow that really crazy dream of wanting to have every genre like of vocal singing. And just like I felt like I was really inspired by her. She was doing like some like theater stuff, and she was teaching us some like really like soulful ways of singing, which I appreciated. And just kind of started swinging around with doing a cappella music at that time too, and like a bunch of
just getting into
choir stuff. So I feel like there's not one exact thing that started it, besides the fact that my parents just made sure that I was consistently surrounded by music and all different kinds of music. And I had every opportunity to like get my hands on instruments and get on a microphone. And
you were very immersed in it, very immersed. And I mean, it's such a cool experience because we're kind of at a point generationally where that can happen. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, like, you know, I'd say like 2 generations before us, like you were lucky to have a instrument in the house. Like, and like, you know, everybody either had like a piano or an acoustic guitar, or some kind of woodwind or brass. So like now there's so many instruments that we're aware of, and there's so many ways to experience them. So it's cool that you've just gotten that from the beginning.
Yeah, no, my parents were hippies. So they did a lot. I'm glad that they ended up going that route of like just saturating in music and art, and like because they were Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, like my grandparents are Jehovah's Witnesses, and so we had like they had a way different upbringing and didn't have like, I guess they had a lot of access to art and music though through my nanai, my mom's mom was like extremely like, what's it called? Motivating my mom and her brother to get into music and art. Like
very encouraging.
Yeah, very encouraging of that. Yeah, of that route. And so but also
it's even multi-generational at this point. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I think it was because she really wanted to do music, and she had some like, she always sings and harmonizes with things, and she's like, but she's never like pursued it.
You know, there are like my really good buddy Casey. This guy has one of the coolest ears for music ever, but he is 100% a car guy. And like, other than listening to music, he could not give 2 shits about like I'll be like, man, this thing is really cool. And he's like, yeah, sounds good. I was like, but you're the one who picked it. And he's like, I know, it sounds good. I'm like, but you don't know why you know this, but your ear is so like, there are just some people who have it and they just never get the exposure. They never get the encouragement to touch instruments. So it's
literally, it's my favorite. Like, the reason why I became a music teacher is because I have like a passion. Like, it makes me so happy to see people reconnect with their love for music. For some reason, like, that's the one thing that I've seen like change people's life and day so fast, just from like getting a little bit of like, I've had people when I did open mics, I had a lot of people coming in to perform on stage for the first time.
Yeah.
And a lot of them would be like my students who'd be like, no, like, I've never performed before. Like, I don't want to do it. And then like they do it, and then everyone's like, oh my goodness, you're so good. And everyone's like coming up to them afterwards and complimenting them. And they're like, oh, like, or they get paid to do something finally. Like, oh my goodness, like, I could, like, I'm going to do this. Like, this is like, I'm actually good at this. And it's, I don't know, I just think it's a really important thing that this world needs, is something that can just make you, even if you're not the person making the music, even if you're receiving the music. I've seen people have their day made by hearing, like, my mom had her day made by hearing somebody play guitar in a subway tunnel once. And just hearing about those moments. It's the reason why we do music.
True.
You know?
Also, it's much more fun to perform to an audience than an empty room. I mean, in its own way.
In its own ways. It's in its own ways, for sure, yeah.
And actually, speaking of which, we've got a couple more foundation questions. But These are fun ones. These are ones we ask early. It's one we ask often. And this first one's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Ooh. Had to have been. See, my dad and I used to go to the CD store a lot of the times, and my first couple albums, my first like CDs that I'm pretty sure it was like it had to have been Hannah Montana.
Okay.
It was either Hannah Montana, Cheetah Girls, or Talib Kweli. Because those were like the three CDs that I ever, like the three earliest CDs that I ever remember having. But Talib Kweli was the first album that I ever like opened up the whole thing and memorized the lyrics on like songs for. And then I did that. Oh man, there was also the Disney Plus 5 albums. I was a big like I wanted to be on Disney Channel when I was a kid.
I mean, some people made it. Some people made it big off of that.
I did a couple auditions for it, and like they would call back and be like, your kid can be on our thing if they join our camps, which costs like $300, but we're gonna just take $50 off for you if you want to join, or something stupid. Like it was like money scam stuff, but like you would join the camps to train to be like a Disney Channel kid if you passed the audition, but you still didn't, like you had to pay in order to get the opportunities to make money still. So it was a whole thing. And eventually I definitely did not want to go that route.
No.
Anyways, but my early music taste was like, I'm like feeling like with my own money, like I only remember, I cannot remember if it was my money or my parents' money when we went to the CD shops, because sometimes they would use my money that I get from birthdays and stuff too. Like usually if anything was getting bought for me, it was like I had savings that from gifts that were like my money stashed to spend. So
I gotcha. Well, I mean, all of those are very valid first album answers. Yeah. And then what was one of the first shows you remember going to that was like a show you wanted to go to?
Ooh,
like I'm sure
Paramore.
Okay, boom. You're ready with that one.
Ooh. Okay, but honestly, actually, Hannah Montana was seen first. But Paramore was Hannah Montana was a gift from my grandma. And I, at the time, was so obsessed with Hannah Montana that I totally would have, oh man, my obsession with this was a little,
Miley, if you ever want to be on the show.
Crazy. It was crazy. But yeah, I also saw like Ali and AJ and Corbin Bleu. My mom got me tickets for that. Okay. And I cannot remember if that was before or after Paramore, but Paramore was like the first one that came to my head, because that was like my first like,
that was the
like
moment.
Hannah Montana was like, she was so far away and I was screaming so loud I couldn't even hear any of the music because I was screaming so loud. Like I was like hyper. I was just like so used to watching the shows of how fans should act that I was just like, I'm just going to be a crazy fan and be obsessed over this singer because everybody else is doing it. It's really what that was. And like Paramore was like, this is like the music that I love. And like I was I actually got to get like front row too.
Yeah,
like,
you wanted to appreciate the performance. Yeah. You didn't want to just be present for it.
Yeah. And it was like, I got to like really get front row, and all of the songs that she played were all the ones that I just loved and knew every single word of. My mom and I would listen to her all the time. So it was a really like, that's the one that goes down in the memories.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing those. Now let's go ahead and get on into you as the artist. We're going to talk about the here and now. And we're going to get the really easy one out of the way.
Okay.
How did you pick your name?
Oh, first and middle.
Boom. All right.
First and middle name right there.
I had a feeling it was
Rain
that
Pollock
formula.
Wasn't it? Wasn't it?
Fair enough. What was your first musical name? Do you remember?
Oh, Bronca Terre. And if you're following me on certain platforms, then you know, not any naughty platforms, just want to put that out there. I have Bronca Terre as my, I don't know why. It was my, like it was like a name, like it was when it was back to Hannah Montana. Dang.
We're really drawing a lot of circles here.
God.
Originally I was saying...
I did not know this was going to happen.
Originally I was saying Miley could be on the show sometime, but I think we're going to have both y'all sit down.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I don't know what it was, but I just wanted a double life. And so I was like...
She was pretty influential.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like she was Lizzie McGuire right after Lizzie McGuire.
That part.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Like because Lizzie McGuire was like the first one. The sister from Even Stevens, I think, was like the first one. And then it was Lizzie McGuire. Although I guess they were kind of they had a movie together.
Uh-huh.
And then it was Hannah Montana after that. So I think that's just kind of the dichotomy. The succession? I don't know. Whatever the right word for that.
Yeah, no, it got a lot of that whole concept of thing was so intriguing to my little preteen brain. But yeah, I remembered like when I made my first Facebook, which I was not supposed to have Facebook at the time. I was like making a fake musician account where I was like, I looked up photos of like people on the internet and like made a account called Broncaterre. And then I also ended up having photos of my actual self on there eventually, and people found out because I tried, oh man, anyways. But like, I wanted my whole persona to be like an undercover pop star that nobody knew about, that like I could be myself, Rain, and then like I could post like my music and stuff under this other persona that like
interesting
that would allow me, because I had one thing right when I was younger. I understood very much that I did not want the life of a celebrity. Yeah. Like I was like, that doesn't look fun.
It's a lot of work.
That looks stressful. And it would be fun if you could control when you were able to live that life.
Yeah, when you're on.
So like I think that was a big thing that like made me really gravitate towards that. And so eventually Broncaterre was just weird, and I didn't have any, I don't even know where it came from. It was like a Broncaterre.
Can you spell that?
Bronkatare.
Interesting.
Don't know why.
I mean,
do not understand it.
It sounds cool enough.
But that was my first one, and then I'm honestly low-key thinking about switching to Rain. Just Rain, because people cannot say my name, and people call me Ezra all the time, and people go Rainezra, how do you say it? And so I'm like, oh no, maybe I should just do Rain.
I'd be worried that would ruin your what is it, SEO? Is that what it is? Search engine optimization.
Oh,
there's gonna be a billion people named.
Oh
that.
yeah,
who was talking to Squiggle. I was talking. He was on the show the other day. Shout out Squiggle Mandela, and he was like, "I used to go by Mandela, and then that got me nothing.
Yeah,
like I was the last thing on Google. So I'd be concerned that Rain would be very like, it's there what? Already. There's something to keep in mind.
I appreciate that feedback.
Maybe just flip the two around. Maybe be Ezra Rain.
See, that's also already a thing.
Is that really?
Yep. When I made my YouTube, it was like
that's what would
always
pop up.
showing Ezra Rain.
Yep.
And I was like, well, no, I'm not doing that one. And people will for sure call me Ezra.
True. Well, then to the drawing board. But I think for now, what it is what it is.
Yeah. Honestly, it helped me feel solidified in where I'm at. So thank you.
All right, now let's go ahead and talk about your writing process. And we're going to break this up into kind of a few chunks, but we're going to start right at the beginning. So when you get inspired, so we're going to get past that chunk. You are now in the mood to make music. You're about to sit down and make music. Do you have certain things that you do every time? Like, do you like start with drums or like kind of hum a melody? Like, do you have steps that you take in the beginning, or do you just whatever happens?
It is literally, oh man, I was just explaining this process to somebody else. I really wish that it was consistent, but it's always different. When I was younger and I didn't have access to production materials, it was always lyrics first. Yeah. And I would be like melody lyrics in my head, and then I would come home and just like find the chords for it or during lunch, I'd find the chords for it on an instrument. But then I got access to an 8-track, and when that happened, at the time, there was no DAW. It was just like record the whole way through. If you mess up, you have to redo it. There's no metronome. You're just so
you really learned how to play to yourself.
I had to learn. Yeah, I had to learn how to play to myself. Like I'd do it over and over again because I'd mess up, and I'd learn how to find bass lines and stuff. So when I was doing that way, I would always start bass, chords, beatbox, vocals, and harmonies. And then when I got into production, I would start doing this thing where I would like be walking down the street and I hear music full production in my head. I hear the whole entire thing. And I'm always like, and my voice memo is just like doing like, and then I'll go through, usually I'll go through the bass line first and then I'll go through the chords sometimes and I'll like hit the melody, but there's no way to layer it on my voice memos.
Yeah. So you just have to lay it in the bits.
Yeah. And then,
I think Native Instruments actually has like the simplest sampler app.
Yeah, there's...
But like theirs is like specifically like really simple to sample stuff into super fast. So don't quote me on this internet. If you have a better one, put it in the comments. But that is actually, I've heard people using that to like, not to produce, but to layer quickly. So they can lay it down super fast, have it already looped. And I think Native Instruments even quantizes a little bit.
Dude.
So it kind of like helps out. So just something to look into, because then you're not having to like produce.
I just want to say right now, SoundLab and GarageBand even too. SoundLab and GarageBand.
GarageBand on the iPad now is a game changer,
dude.
Holy
and even
shit.
on the iPhone, it's updated insanely. Like I do a lot of my music, my really quick music production lessons through my iPhone through GarageBand, or like when I am sending somebody like when somebody asks me for a feature, I will straight up record my feature through SoundLab with my Apple earbuds when I had them. And then it puts so many different, it has so many effects and adjustments that you can have on there that are like
SoundLab's changing a lot of the rules right now for things.
And then GarageBand's really great for just like quick idea. I want to layer it really quick, just copy, and then can even auto tune it and put the little effects on there too. But there's easier ways now. But when I was doing, like, when I first got into production, I didn't have those yet. And so it was just like voice memos. And then I was the TA at the production class after I took the production class. And that was my favorite because they didn't need any help really. They just wanted to be in their zones. And like, I just helped troubleshoot something real quick. And then the rest of the time I'm getting paid to make beats, and a lot of times I'm listening to my little voice memos and I'm just like, okay, we're gonna figure this out.
And so like this into a real thing.
And so I just like, and I started really getting into samples when I learned how to do sampling. And so like if I have an idea in my head that I'm trying to produce, it's always like, what's the main thing that I can hold on to right now first? And that's never like in any order of instrumentation. But if I'm doing looping, say for instance, because another one of my forms of production and performance is with the Boss pedal that my mom just got me. And it's always bass or beatbox first, and then like chords, and then vocals, harmony, which kind of stems back to my 8-track days.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. I think that's my whole little process though.
I love that. It was super in depth. And then what would you say, or not what, how long would you say it takes from the time where a song is done? So like when you're on paper, it's finished, you got everything you need to be able to start practicing to perform it. How long from that point does it take for you to usually get to where you're able to perform it?
That also depends. There's been times where I have like a song come to me and it's like, I will perform it that day.
Okay.
But I also really love challenging myself and also challenging other people that I meet that are really good musicians. So like I started creating 30-minute song challenges recently where I invite a bunch of artists that are, first it was, I wanted to learn how to produce on different DAWs. So I had 30
Smart.
4 producers come in. They had 30 minutes.
Producers. They all had 4 minutes.
That part. But yeah, 4 producers come in. They had 30 minutes to make a song from complete scratch in front of me so that I could understand like other people's processes. Yeah. And then like I was a part of it too. So I had to challenge myself to do it too.
You know what? Even though it was a bit, it would be interesting to do one song with 30 producers, 4 minutes each.
My
where one goes in,
goodness.
works on it, leaves. The next one comes in.
That's totally a thing.
No context. You don't get to hear what the person was doing
Yep.
before or after.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to have to add that to my...
Well, it's on your episode.
It's going to be on... Yeah, okay, remember. Put it on your to-do list if you haven't already. Swear to God. Yeah, that thing is also insane. But we had we had a bunch of artists trying to write to the producers when that when that first competition happened. And so now we have writers, they have 20 minutes to write, and then they have 10 minutes to record.
Okay.
And then the producer has 20 minutes to produce and 10 minutes to like record the artist.
Interesting.
And then so now it's like a full song in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I've also done like a lot of, I think when I was in school, I had to do a lot of writing challenges. And anytime I do a writing activity or challenge, it was always a song. Because that's like the only form of writing that I am good at doing, in my opinion. So it's what I have fun doing.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then lastly, how long would you say a song takes to be able to be released? So like, we'll say kind of at that same point, you finished writing it. What would you say is the window of time from when it's finished writing to being put out?
It's always depending on so many factors. When I released my first ever like song and album, I was in school and it was a part of my finals to release it. So it was not my choice. It was like forced. I had a time limit and I had to release it at this time and this way. And then when I was out of school, it took me probably a year and a half to release my music because I had recorded it all at a studio, and then the producer at that studio like went MIA and literally left me and like a few other artists just like, where like we had to like re-record stuff at other places, and finally it took me a really long time to get my stems from the songs that I did record.
Yeah.
And like I was just like money, like it's at the time I was just like so much money, but I had friends who were totally just like garage recording their songs and releasing it, and I got really inspired by that, and I did a couple of things like that. So like if it's SoundCloud, it can be like it's so easy for me to release, and also like I don't feel like it needs to be the best quality either. But if it's Apple and Spotify and stuff, like I want it to be good quality. I want to have it mixed and mastered properly, and I don't trust myself to do those skills. We're getting there.
There's a big thing about you shouldn't mix and master, or at least master your own music. Like there's something to be said about having somebody who understands that process a little more meticulously, because fundamentally it is different. And I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people don't take the time to appreciate the mastering process because it's really fun. Like it's so malleable because you're not working with making a million variables work. You're working with massaging the variables presented. So it's a lot more, not so much like taking out as it is taming. It's going in and being surgical. You're not doing big wide cuts with the EQ. You're doing like 5 tiny notches, but those 5 tiny notches let the limiter respond differently. And just mastering it's actually a really fun process that everybody's like, I have ozone. Why would I need to? But it's not the same. It's not the same.
I was just trying to explain to somebody what the difference between mixing and mastering is, and I was like,
it's subtle. It's a
like,
nuance.
Yeah,
that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's definitely about I feel like mixing is more of creative opinion and instruction than like leveling things out to be the way you feel like you want them to be mixed, and then mastering is letting it compare to the rest of the audio in the world that you're going to hear, so that it doesn't, like, the thing that honestly mastering needs to be done differently with movies, because the way that it'll get so loud all of a sudden and then so quiet, and then you're there with the TV remote like,
that's just because there's such a bizarre lack of standardization between video-based audio in all of its, like, because everybody's mixing like Atmos and things like that all the time. Like when you go to the movie theaters, depending on how good the movie theater is, you're going to get the full experience. You go to like IMAX, you're going to get that actual experience because that's how they mix it. But that's not the main form of consumption. You know what I mean? And even then, there's not like each TV is so different. Each sound system is so different. Things that are 5.1 are, things that aren't 5.1 aren't. Like there's so many elements, and there's no way to get everybody on board at this point unless everybody did no audio in TVs and only did it externally. And that would be the worst cash grab for people who can't afford both.
Man.
So it's unfortunate, but there's no way to standardize it unless they actively did a better job at the stereo version, which they just don't take the time to do, and it's disappointing. But you are right. There is an entirely different mastering process needed for that.
Yeah, I just made a realization that most musicians, when they're famous, they are like, famous. When people are like performing at really, really big stages, I just realized that they probably have to have their backtracks mastered specifically for certain stages.
I mean, at least to a degree, there are definitely backing tracks are definitely mixed for live settings.
Yeah.
And those types of things. And often with a degree of variability that I don't think a lot of people give credit to.
Yeah, like that's why it sounds so like you can hear the difference in certain spaces where you're like, man, these speakers are not doing your song justice, and like, or like, dang, these speakers are like, how would they sound this good right now?
Yeah. Well, that
Notice center. I'm like, these things are good.
That and a good engineer. I think either having a proper house engineer that knows the sound well, or a good touring engineer that knows your sound well, regardless of setting. But yeah, at the end of the day, every room's going to sound different. But I have definitely like been to shows where I was like, wow, this show was great. And then the same, like a buddy of mine who went to the same show, saw the same thing as me, same building, same place, was like, that sounded terrible. And I'm like, were we at the same show? And vice versa. There's been instances where I'm like, man, they didn't bring it. And then the next day I saw someone at school was like, oh my God, did you see them? They were amazing. I was like, were they? Like, I felt like they were given 50% compared to what they, so like, it's all perspective. It's all perspective. And that's where the nuances get so gray area, because anybody can say that anything is or isn't good in those respects. But good is not a fair variable to measure on, because that's also subjective. So really, I think it's just what you want from the process is all you need to do. There's no necessity to any of it, but some of it's fun and some of it makes it sound a way that you're looking for. Desirability is individual until you present it to the masses.
That's a good line. That's a good quote.
All right, but let's get back to you. And this next one's fun. This is one I've started asking a little more recently, and I really like some of the answers we've been getting. But this one is a little more focused on your current music, stuff that you've recently been working on and putting out and things like that. What is it about that current sound that you enjoy?
My current music that is released is completely...
Or performing. Like, that's acceptable as well.
I'm realizing...
Like, let's go performing, maybe.
Yeah, well, I guess everything... But what I'm performing is extremely genre-bending. I love very specific things about a lot of different types of music. So I really like to... The things that I've always driven towards is, like, unique, hard kicks. Okay. Or, like, not even if they're unique, because, like, some of my songs have just the 4 on the floor. But I like anything that makes you feel like you want to dance, because I also grew up, like, with a lot of dance community in my life. And so, like, 7th chords, minor scales, arpeggios,
you're using big words here. No,
and I know, well, yeah, and then I feel like anything that has like syncopation too, or like polyrhythms, like anything that's got like I love when an arrangement is a journey. That's my favorite thing most recently, is that like you're not going to hear the same, like when I first started producing music, a lot of my music that's released right now is the same 4 chords the whole way through. But I at least tried to make like intro, verse, bridge, chorus, like all of those stuff. Like
a lot of structure.
I had some structure, like things would add in or get taken away. But like recently what I've been really into is like, honestly, it's probably because I've been starting to listen to like more like dubstep recently too. Is like, I love when like things just like take you down sideways on the wall and then around the room and then throw you back to the ground. And then you're like, what the hell just happened? So I want to start making music like that. I've been working with Purple Matter on some new vibes that I'm excited to dive into. And I have like mainly a lot of like, I really love any like vocally, I love bringing soul, runs, harmonies, lots of harmonies, lots of stacks, lots of like, I mean, I arranged acapella music and I was in acapella. So I hear like SWV, like Music Soul Child harmonies and everything too. Cause I like have a lot of that background. And so my, those are the things. Those are the things that I go for in the music.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, anything that like evokes you to move or like cry or go.
It warrants a reaction.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that I had a feeling your answer was going to be fairly in depth and thought out, so I appreciate that.
Yes.
And then to round out this round of questions, and this one is probably the densest question of the interview, because we've talked a lot about what happens because of music, the elements of it, the reactions, the actions, the causes, the effects. Now let's look inwards. When it's you alone with the music, what does the music give you?
Oh man, I say this a lot, but like, I don't know how much I'm like, how can I say this in a way that I can say this? Music makes me woo woo woo. It does things. It does things to my my blood sugar or something. I don't really know.
Jazz hands
It
your soul.
it is it's a lot of the times like very energizing for me to be in a musical environment, and a lot of the times I feel like I'm maybe like skyrocketing a little too crazy when I even think about it. Like I can feel my blood boiling in me when I think about how the way I feel like in a beat circle or in a jam session, or like when I'm performing with like dancers, or like, I don't know, like there's moments that are just like, yeah, this is that like happiest moment that you can feel in your life almost, where you just like, you could cry because you're smiling so hard.
Yeah.
And like you could just like, I don't know, it feels like very like superpowery. Like it feels, it's the closest to like feeling like I'm experiencing magical powers in a way.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of the times I feel like I can really like, I can not only control other people's emotions, but my own emotions in a way too. And it feels very energy manipulative. And like if I write something that, like, this is the thing, I'm really bad at verbalizing and talking a lot of the times, because I just and then a lot of the times I'm trying to say this one thing, but like it takes me 10 years to say what I'm trying to say. So like writing music is also a really good way for me to summarize my thoughts and get it out in a way that makes me feel like, yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Yes. So
in a way, it outwardly connects you to people and people to you, which is, it's clearly been a recurring aspect, but internally it connects you to you and helps you kind of make yourself feel more concise.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Like a lot of the times I really need to like, I write a lot of music for myself so that I can like mantra like, this is, or just like remind myself of these things. And then also I'll go back to a song that I wrote a while ago, like, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, you're still going through this thing? Come on. Or like, you finally made it out of that point. Good job. Like, I don't know. It's like I used to also write myself dear future self notes all the time. So I have like diaries that are like for me to read back when I am in my later years. So I can be like,
well, that's exciting.
Dude.
Hey, you got to remember where you came from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I recently actually found those journals like a year ago and was, damn, I change very quickly a lot. And I don't at all at the same time. So
you know, it's definitely like a forest through the trees kind of thing. Like you don't realize how different you are from the you 10 days ago because you've lived all 10 of those days. But when you look back 10 years ago, you've lived all 10 of those years, but you haven't retained all 10 of them in the way that, you know, those 10 days go. So yeah, it's definitely a perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
All right, now let's go ahead and move on to some hypothetical questions.
Alrighty.
And these ones, sky's the limits. There are no wrong answers because they're all made up. And this first one, it's a pretty standard one, but have fun with it. If you could work with any one person, and it could be anybody as long as they're alive.
Alicia Keys.
Okay. And how would you choose to work with her?
I would like to develop a musical education program with her. Well, I'd like her to sponsor my musical education program.
Okay.
Is really what it is. Because I have one that I started already, and or maybe not even sponsor. I'd like her to be a guest. Because I like right now I've been like mentoring all these young musicians, and I'm just trying to give them like the things that like I wanted when I was younger, and the things that I needed. Like I just needed somebody to be like, this is what an EPK is. This is how you book an email. This are the music studios you should go into. These are the ones you shouldn't go into. This is how you should act in a studio. This is what you need to like. There's just there's so many things that I did not know. Like I did not have the access to do. And like I looked up to and appreciated the people who provided me with that stuff a lot. That's why I like appreciated my choir teacher, Miss Urquhart, so much, because she provided me with a lot of resources and information that like opened up my brain to be able to do things that made me happy, like, sorry.
I have a thought.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking about this because like, I always wonder about longevity with these kinds of things, because if we start teaching kids now, what happens if like the electronic press kit isn't a thing in the future? Like that's a process that was, but what we should be doing now is teaching like late 20s adults how to navigate that process appropriately and then enter them into the industry, make them a part of the middle, the meat of the experience. So new people coming in are now being introduced to people who are designed to enter the process giving, enter the process caring. So maybe instead of, like, not that we shouldn't focus on the youth, we should focus on the youth experiencing music. Like that should be priority number one, put an instrument in every kid's hands. But I think it would be cool, and please, I will never do this, so take this, put this on your to-do list as well. But I think it'd be cool to introduce a group of people that will develop a section of industry in a place. And then that industry becomes the foundation for those window of children who were instrument in hand all the way up to that point. Yeah.
The idea was also to have mentors be a part of that second level of, so at first, I was the only mentor and I had all these kids. And then I was like, okay, too many of them. A lot of them aren't kids. They're like, some of them are like 21, 22 years old. I have some people in there, they're like 27, 28. Like, it's all like, ages.
That's a good window.
But then also they're like, it was more about your level of like experience with music. So like, it was like people who were just getting into like recording their first albums, and like they had a bunch of songs, but they need performance experience. They need to understand how to get themselves like to perform more places. And then I had all of my friends who are like on my level, where we've been doing this thing. Like, this is what we do. And so like, I was like, okay, we got our mentors, we got our mentees. It just so happened that like, I mean, I'm a music teacher, so my focus has always just been youth, but I've always had it open to all ages. So it's been like, I had like a mother and daughter that was like 27 and a 7-year-old in there at one point, and that was really cute. Aww. But and they were both like writing their own music, their first like music together and performing for the first time. But lovely. Anyways, my main point, I'm going back to it. It's coming. Alicia Keys.
Yes.
That's what we're
perfect.
So
and then,
I was gonna say, if I had like so the mentors are usually people who are just like in my field, but sometimes I'll have special guests. And so there's like, I have mentors that are like, I do this, but I'm not like
this.
Like, I'm not like trying to, like, I'm not like going on tours everywhere and getting paid. Like, and then I have my friends who are like, doing the thing, like trying to get record labels, trying to tour the world, trying to do that. And I usually have them come in as like guests and stuff. And so like, there's the guests and then there's the mentors. Alicia Keys,
that would be the guest. That would be the guest.
And then like, also I would really like to do a stairwell session with her. So stairwell session and guest my music workshop.
Well, everybody add Alicia Keys in the comments.
You've done it for me before. Help me out here.
All right. And then subsequently, who's a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
It's got to be probably Julia Logue. I got to connect with her. Like, I saw her perform. I saw her perform at my friend's Pasidio's show, and I was like, holy damn. She does like neo soul, like jazz stuff, and like I was I've been like trying to work with her for a while, but she's starting to get a little bit too big for my britches, I think, or something. She's I'm like,
everybody at her in the comments as well.
Hey, Julia Logue. I mean, we've made plans to do stuff together. I've actually was going to have her be a guest at my Rosebuds workshop too.
Oh, exciting.
And we're like in the next year planning on stuff.
Nice.
And we've been like, yeah, we should plan a show together. But I need a really good venue, and like I want it to be big enough for as big as I think that it could be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because your music's amazing if you're watching this. And I feel like there's also, I mean, like, I have also been really interested in doing a feature with Win, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had my whole last album had a bunch of like other features. I had like Sote and Being a Baby, and I had some like other, I like doing stuff with female hip hop artists a lot. And I've met Win a couple of times, but I don't think that she knows I think she knows I do music because my page is like all music stuff. She probably got a lot of other features, a lot of other things happening there. So
she is a little busy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, last one who's not completely local, but has been through Portland a lot is Paris Alexa. Paris Alexa.
Y'all are going to be adding a lot of people in these comments for this episode. Yeah. So just get on it now.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Don't give me more time to think.
No, we're gonna move we'll move right on to the next one. And this one, literally sky's the limits. If you could perform anywhere in the world and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access, power, building stability, guaranteed best show, and it doesn't have to be a venue. It can be anywhere in the world. Where would you want to perform?
I'm like, space, underwater. I'm like, I definitely am like a big nature person. Like my favorite ever, like what inspired me to do what I'm doing right now which is music festivals, is like seeing and experiencing like an outdoor performance at a beautiful like nature space that has like the stage built out like I love me some crazy festival stages in the middle of nature. That's my thing right there. So it would like, but she needs to sound good, so you can't do like a waterfall. I'm like, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Like in my brain right now, I'm imagining like definitely sunset or sunrise vibes because the sky.
Yeah.
And I want it. Ooh, or like Northern Lights.
Yeah, so Alaska, that's an option.
I want the sky to have a party going on. And then I want definitely like big, elegant, crazy, intricate, artistic structures with the stage that like have some sort of screens or LED light fixtures so that it feels like it's like got the movement happening there. And then like lots of dancers that are like, so you think you can dance, not that one. America's Best Dance Crew type dancers. Okay. I want some America's Best Dance Crew type dance crews.
Oh yeah,
dance crews, and
just the Jabberwockies.
Yeah, something like that, you know, like, and then yeah.
Hell yeah.
Pandas. That's the last one.
Hell yeah.
But they can't be endangered. I don't know. Like maybe if it was in China.
Fair. Just go to where they are, but don't bother them.
Sky's limits, you said.
Yeah,
so
that's totally acceptable.
For that one.
There's a story that I don't know well enough to retell properly, but there's a story about how Prince wanted a tiger when he was in Las Vegas for a performance, and a guy was like the main production guy was like, I'm sorry, we can't get you a tiger. What? And so Prince went over to his manager and fired the main production guy and was like, get a new one that can get me a tiger.
Damn.
So again, this is my friend told two friends who told two friends story version. This is the telephone experience, but something along those lines. So anybody can technically get anything. He did get a tiger. That is the true end of the story. There was a tiger for that performance.
See, I would just want to make sure that the panda is safe and not.
See, my thing is that I
go back to its home and can I just want to see it.
You have to worry the sound.
And
Like,
then
can
that'll
we
be
do-
my good luck charm before. See, I
I was
wouldn't
gonna
even
say
want it on
pre-show
stage,
panda.
right? Yeah,
Pre-show
like pre-show
panda.
panda.
Yo,
Exactly.
yo, normalize pre-show pandas, everybody. Hell yeah.
That's gonna be my VIP. Like that's what's gonna make people pay like $1 million to see me. VIP.
I think I forget what band it was.
You get to take a picture with me and a panda, or hold a baby panda, or like. But then like I don't know. All of the money needs to go towards helping pandas too. In that case, I don't know. I'm like so weird on
No, you're
big
fine.
on wanting to be like. I want to see the baby panda, and I want to, but I don't want to exploit it. But we do want a lot of attention here. I don't know.
No, totally. All right, we got one last question
Yes.
in the hypotheticals. And this one's a pretty straightforward one as well. But if you could get one more album from anybody, live, dead, they could be making music and just not putting stuff out. They could be not making music anymore. But if you can get one more album from anybody, who would you want an album from?
Like one more album that already exists, or one more like somebody makes one more new one.
Well, I mean, if it already existed, it wouldn't be one more album.
Yeah, got you.
But yes, if you could get a new album, unreleased, from anybody, way, shape, time, Beethoven's not off the table, anybody, I'm sure he could put out one more banger.
Yeah. Man, that's like it's almost like what's my favorite artist at that point, because
I mean, it's not to say the decision you make is the only decision you can make in the realm of these imaginary questions that hold no weight.
I'm like, oh no, it's this. I can't go back.
Like top of the head, like I'd pick one from Gorillaz. I don't even care. They just put out stuff. They keep putting out stuff. I would pick one from Gorillaz because I just want to know what's next.
Yeah, dude.
I want to know what's next.
I honestly am really into this new artist Break-Ins right now. And they're like, I just went down like a rabbit hole of their production, and I was like, this is like this is that journey music that I was talking about that does. And I would probably really want another album from them, because I'd get a lot of musical inspiration from that artist. Check out Break-Ins.
Hell yeah. Shout out Break-Ins.
Fake is a crazy song. Listen to the whole thing because you need to.
Hell yeah.
Anyways.
All right, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. Why don't you tell us what you have coming up, say, the first quarter of 2024? What can we look forward to?
Well, I'm going to be doing some more Rainy Views showcases, which is a collaboration between me and who you previously interviewed, Views.
Yes, shout out Views.
Yeah, and if you guys want to check that out, that's usually going to be at Cafe United. If you want to check out my Rainezra booking Instagram, I'm going to be just putting all of the new shows that I'm going to be releasing onto there, maybe
there'll be room for a little bit of Jambox to hang out.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then also I'm going to be doing more stuff with Local Fest Connects. We're doing a festival called Love Fest in 2024, and that's going to be our next. If you've been to Fall Fest and Spring Fest, our next little shebang dang is going to be Love Fest, and then we're going to get into planning Summer Fest 2025. Can't go, y'all. Anyways, that's 2025. And then, trying to release. There's a couple of projects that I've been trying to release, and we're going to really hope that they come out in 2024.
Oh yeah. Well, we're definitely looking forward to that.
Yes.
And then for this next one, go and look at the camera and tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find me at rainezra.com or Rainezra anywhere at all. Rainezra. If you have a hard time spelling that.
It'll also be on the screen while you were talking.
Cool.
Yep. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Oh man, if I start thinking about that right now, my brain's gonna just go. But yeah, it's already starting to do that right now. Last thing that I'm just gonna shout out is that you should follow Rosebud's PDX Music on Instagram, or it's Rosebud's Music PDX. I can't remember, but you're gonna find a picture, a bunch of little, artists, and we're doing the thing, trying to bring more music education mentoring. City of Portland.
I'll do my best to also put the ad on on the bottom.
I'll give you the correct one.
Thank you. That'll help. All right. Now we've got one last question to go, but before we do, I'm gonna steal the camera for just a second. As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. Also, one more shout out to our big old sponsor, Brothers Apothecary. Shout out. All right. Now for the final question. What is an album that you think everybody should know?
Ooh, I just thought about this recently because it was an album that, like, took a whole story. It goes through.
Is it Kameyu's new album?
Oh,
God.
But that would be.
It's so good.
I need to listen to that.
It's so good.
Listen to that one.
It's definitely one of my favorite albums of this year. Like, I think it came out in like February, and it has since sat at the top of just incredible albums for this year.
Man.
Yeah.
I think I might have to go with Breakins again now. Right now, I'm just on a little. Like, I haven't even listened to his whole album yet because I don't have time to listen to a whole album usually. And I need to, like, sit down and, like, listen to it. I can't just, like, have it playing in the background or something on, like, a crappy speaker. It needs to be, like, stereo speaker, like, sit down and take this. That's what, Breakins. The thing is that I don't know the name of the album from Breakins that it is, but it's the one that's got deep fake on it.
Oh, yeah.
So, that one.
Well, y'all know what to do.
Go listen.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and get up on out of here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. This was a pleasure. It was fun.
This has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Rainezra.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.